Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to Omen Exitio Plague. And yeah, last time we finished chapter 1. Finally, it was a long ass chapter. 7 episodes, and that's like 3.5 hours about it. Of course, a lot of it's me yakking about random stuff, as I do. But yeah, we're definitely playing this slower than the game than the people seem to think that we would play it. Because, like I said last time, the estimated time to play this once is 4 to 6 hours, and yeah, we're already past 3.5, and only chapter 1 out of 4. So I don't know if that means this will be like a 12-hour playthrough. But anyway, we're back in London with a suitcase full of money. We're working for Meyer. See what happens. Globe Road, London. Though a short time has elapsed since your return, it nonetheless seems like a strange, distant dream. Excuse me. Your house is deafeningly silent, with only the occasional muffled sound from the world outside penetrating the wall. But in your ears are echoing cracks of gunfire and shrill screaming, the screams of injured soldiers and pestilent dying men. Since your return, you have felt an unshakable fatigue, a small conflict, a strange epidemic, and a long voyage. For the past month, your body is justified in debating convalescence. Interesting word to choose there. However, rest alone will not help. Extirpate? What the crap does that word mean? Is that a real word, or is that a typo? Extirpate the memory of Zanzibar from your conscious and unconscious mind. Confronting this disease seems your only option to keep your mind busy. Okay, I want to know. Yeah, when I was browsing the forums about seeing if you can actually game over on the game, if you can game over on the game, that sounds weird for some reason. I did see something about them mentioning about there's a lot of typos in the game. That the British translator, didn't do as good a job as they had thought. So they're going to have to do another run through, which I don't know if they have or not. There's still definitely some missing. Uh, I don't have a very good phone, but I'm going to do this instead of pull up on the other monitor to make sure that I don't uh, screw up the recording. Wow. By gum. Extirpate. Root out and destroy completely. Can I? Yeah, go to the full thing.
Extirpate.
Extirpate. I pronounced it right, so that's good. I guess it is full definition. The use of every legal measure to extirpate this horrible evil from the land is the example. I did not know that was a word, but yeah, extirpate. I'll be extirpating my drink over the next hour. Okay. What are we gonna do? Well, I can't put another skill in medicine. I feel like we should do all of these. Let's do the medicine, Okay, good. You go through the bookshelves in your study and glance at the titles of the books. You decide to follow a hunch. You take from the shelves all the publications which mention or describe the means of transmission of diseases. You skip from one book to another. This disease is unconventional, not only in its behavior, but also in the way it seems to spread. As you're going through your notes and comparing them to various known yet unknown diseases, you realize that it appears to have selective patterns of transmission. Too selective. The only conclusion you're able to draw from this is that the disease spreads as if via someone's deliberate intervention. Someone who chose where and to whom it would spread. This thought troubles your mind greatly until at last you are overcome by tiredness and you fall asleep. Slowly, trying not to spill the tea, okay, we're doing this again. You've already put on your tray, you finish preparing your breakfast. Lifting it carefully, you walk to the stairs and start to ascend. You get to the landing and stop suddenly in your tracks when you realize that you have made breakfast for two. Raising your gaze to your bedroom door, you recognize the scene of your recurring nightmare. You feel like you know exactly what will happen once you enter the room. You feel queasy and not wishing to even face such mental anguish. You turn and start to head down the stairs. The moment you take the first step, you notice something under your feet. Something dark. Looking down, you cannot help but let the tray fall and its contents shatter. There is a river of blood running down the steps. Lovely. Turn back to your bedroom door to see that the blood is coming from there, streaming under it. Then you hear a rough and distorted voice trying to say something. It is your name. Huntington. Or, well, if it's his wife, probably Jake. Jakey Poo! With a scream, you're suddenly awake. You're sitting, your breathing is heavy, and your heart's racing. Your blankets are bunched up and damp with sweat. Once again, you have dreamt of Helen suffering from the disease which you encountered in Africa. The sense of guilt in your subconscious is playing cruel tricks on you. You think back to the interminable hours you spent at the university library, eyes strained and bloodshot by the dim paraffin light of the reading rooms. Never a hint. The disease that killed your wife continued to be a mystery long after the death of your love for her. When Helen died, you wanted to die too. You even planned it out, decided on the scientifically best method, poison. But once again, it was the thought of Helen that stopped you. You knew that it was not what she would have wanted. She would not have wanted you to fight back and to do everything possible to stop other people dying or having to go through this pain of losing their loved ones. It is the remembrance of this thought that now, once again, gives you strength and resolve. With a lingering sense of terror from your nightmare, you get up, wash, and get dressed. You need to walk and breathe fresh air. Okay. Traversing Mall End, you reach the gleaming white facade of the Queen Mary University of London. The time you spent here was intense and you're caught up in mixed emotions seeing it again now. It was home to many pleasurable moments, but also the anguished final months you spent obsessively researching before your departure to Zanzibar. You skip up the few steps and go inside. I'm assuming that the skipping doesn't mean like, la la la. That would be a funny image, though. The experience seems both old and new at the same time. Oh man, we're knocking out a lot of experience already. We can even get a point into medicine or speech if we need to. You walk along the corridors full of voices and students. One of them appears to be in a great hurry and knocks into you painfully as he hurtles down the hall. Sheets of paper and notebooks fly in all directions to the amusement of the various student onlookers who have stopped to observe the scene. Hey Fleming, don't your books teach you how to look where you're going? Wow. Yeah, let's help him, of course. Fleming hastens to pick up his things. Please, there's no need. Thank you. Please. As you turn his paper, certain diagrams and formula catch your eye. They represent rather complex notes on microbiological nature. They just described, or they just said that he's doing like microbiology stuff. Sounds like a good, a good. It sounds like he might know something about diseases. Well, I mean, microbiology would be important, with diseases, It's outside you should be running, boy, enjoying yourself instead of dashing around here with these notes, which appear to be rather complicated. What is your name? Alexander, sir. Alexander takes back his notes and starts putting them in order. There's an awkward moment as it becomes clear to you that he must go, but is trying to figure out how to do it without being rude. There's no time to enjoy myself, sir. I have a whole course to catch up. I must go. Please excuse me and thank you, with your permission. No, you don't have permission. You must stay here and talk to me. He lowers his head and sets off again. In his hurry, he almost knocks into another student who growls at him menacingly. You watch him moving off, careening distractedly along the corridor like a clumsy blue bottle. What's a blue bottle? Well, I'll be. Jake, you old rascal. Who is this guy? Is this me? Is this me in maybe another 10, 20 years? You suddenly hear your name and immediately recognize the deep and cheerful tone of the voice. You turn to see Reginald Chambers, a sprightly face welcoming you with a wide, playful grin. Reginald is the professor. We don't get experience for this guy. Why don't we get experience for this guy, for meeting him? Get experience for the others. Reginald is professor of pharmacology, and the closest thing you ever made to a friend in your years at the institution. Now let's have a quick chat with him. Reginald, old boy, what's happened to you? Is the university wearing you out? You're looking thin. Probably won't be me then. 3 years. Reginald claps his belly and grins. At nearly 20 stone, his ample bulk rarely goes unnoticed. Oh, okay, maybe it is me. Maybe this really is me. I was like, oh, he's not. He's not fat, but okay, sounds like he is fat. At nearly 20 stone. Not sure what the pound to stone ratio is. You know how it is, Jake. These students suck you dry, and since the retirement of Betty from the university canteen, I'd say your old friend Reginald has lost a couple of pounds. So, I really want to make a bad joke about him saying something about students sucking him dry. They would all be in horrible taste. Reginald releases a deep, loud cachinnation which fills the air all around. Tell me about you, though. What news of distant Zanzibar? Reginald, I'm not here on a social call, and I could really use your help. In Zanzibar, I came across a very nasty disease, something new and completely unknown. I'm heading to the library to find out more. Reginald looks at you seriously for once. He remembers well the time he spent in the library, obsessed with Helen's illness. This is a big library, according to the picture. The Queen Mary Library overwhelms you with its particular odor. A mixture of old paper, paraffin from the lamps, and a slight must of mold. You start refamiliarizing yourself and walk around until you come to the microbiology section, where a dark-skinned servant is busy arranging books. It's a little awkward thing to say. You find some potentially relevant volumes, but you are unsatisfied. Then your gaze falls on a stack of books that a man is putting down. They seem ideal for your research. The man notices you looking at the pile and gives you a nod of permission to help yourself. You add them to the books you're already carrying and hasten to the center table where Reginald is waiting. Jacob, boy, what do you intend to do with all these tomes? No, wait, I don't want to know. Whatever your intentions are, I have no wish to deal with them on an empty stomach. Let's go to the pub and get something in our bellies. Okay. Unlike the library, the entrance to your old pub has a salubrious effect on you. We're learning words. We learned that other one that I can't remember. I already forgot it. It means to destroy. It began with E. Wow, I already can't remember it. That's terrible. I am going senile. But this is salubrious. It hasn't changed in the slightest since your last visit, and the tartan furniture is comfortingly worn. They're in all the same places. You follow Reginald to your usual table, where you have spent long hours discussing and hypothesizing on various scientific theories. A barmaid comes over to take your order. Oh, Shirley, look who I've brought along. That's kind of rude calling her ho right off the bat. Although, I mean, obviously, no. And I know that. I'm being silly. Shirley puts a hand on her hips and throws you a warm smile. The old partners are back together then. I need not ask what old Reggie wants, but what shall I bring you, Jake? Have the same, I guess. As soon as Shirley goes off, you're piling onto the table some of the volumes that you took from the library. As you are doing so, you realize that one of them is not even a medical book at all. It seems very curious to you because you were quite sure that you had read all the titles before taking them. I would hope so. I hope you're not just grabbing books at random because, you know. Because you could have grabbed one that's like something about porn, you know. Paintings. Are they porn or art? I guess it. I don't know. Would like old paintings be kind of like the? Did they have like proper porn, or was that the closest they had to it? You know, like people who had painted naked, naked people. Seems to be a text on ancient Egyptian myths. Flicking through it with some curiosity, you come to a page which has been bookmarked with a thin red ribbon. There, staring at you, is a symbol, an eye. Okay. Interesting that Smith mentioned Egyptian history earlier, or not earlier, but in the last episode, I think. There can be no question that it's almost identical to the symbol encountered on your adventure. Is this merely an odd coincidence, or is there some sort of hidden connection? A flurry of interrogatives consume your thought. Well, it's not that weird. It's not that weird. Well, maybe it's a little weird. Egypt isn't Africa. It's in North Africa. Right? I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. They were in East Africa, so yeah, it might be a bit strange if there was like, but this was Stone Town, so where was Stone Town at? I don't know. Realizing that Reginald is observing you with a puzzled expression, you put the book back with the others and start telling him about the things which you saw in Zanzibar. You begin to get caught up in the fervor of your tale, but while your jovial friend keeps smiling all the while, his eyes begin to show a growing concern. A plaque cough makes you raise your head from your study. Shirley has returned carrying two big plates and looks at you with some consternation. Eventually you realize what she wants and you clear some space on the table for your meal. Looks like a pretty nice steak there. Reginald launches himself into his food, but you only glance at the enormous steak and chips on your plate before returning to the paragraph you were reading. There's a description of a certain skin rash that you are particularly interested in. Let me see if I've got this right. This disease causes fever, weeping sores, and ocular hemorrhage. Hemorrhage, I read there. The poor victims bleed all over these sores and they weep blood. I can only imagine that the smells of their bodies malfaction. Nodding, you notice a couple just behind Reginald. The woman pushes away her plate, and the man stops midair with a fork full of food. Reginald's loud description has clearly and understandably ruined their appetite. Same cannot be said for Reginald himself, who is polishing off the last few mouthfuls of his meal and washing it down with an enormous gulp from his mug of ale. So the sores, they like just burst open. It's like blood everywhere, you know. Like, interesting. Read about something similar just the other day. Some research by a microbiologist called Martinus Bajeric, describing a disease he's looking at. Yeah, tell me more about it. Although he doesn't work on humans, Martinus has done a series of studies that are apparently close to understanding the true nature of certain diseases. They are said to be discoveries that will change medicine completely. It was in the scientific appendix of the Standard, one of the last week's editions. Yeah, is he reliable? As much as a Dutchman can be, I suppose. Whoa! What's with the racism against Dutch people? If you're asking me if I think he's just after fame, I'd have to say no. He's a botanist and a microbiologist of some renown, and his studies have been garnering a great deal of interest in the scientific community of late. Okay, good. I'm glad we were able to get all the experience there. Oh man, we've got 64 experience. We're racking it up. Still got a copy of the paper? Well, I may still have a copy in my office. Otherwise, we can easily find another in the university library. You hurriedly collect up all the books from the table, pay the bill, leaving a generous tip for Shirley, and set off along the road, all the while admonishing Reginald to quicken his pace. After rereading the article several times, you conclude that Bechernik's theories may very well explain various aspects of the disease in general, and this one specifically. This article, however, seems to deliberately omit important information. You inform Reginald of this, who is observing you attentively. At this point, I think we should try to speak to Bechernik himself. Why not have him along? Don't want to disappoint you, but it's not as easy as you might think. Martinus Bechernik lives in Delft, in Holland. Pack your bags, Reginald. We're going to Holland. Reginald grins. I was hoping you'd say that. You're already heading towards the door, mentally going through what you need to do to set off immediately. But then you realize your friend has stopped behind you. You turn to see Reginald stroking his chin and looking at you thoughtfully. The journey will be long and expensive. Are you sure about this? Maybe we should go to the bank before leaving. There's no need. I have everything we need. Meet me at the port. Did we tell him about the big suitcase of money we got? You're walking Reginald near the town, watching his face, wincing comically at its terrible smell. Oh, okay. I was like, his face is smelling terrible. Okay, the area around the docks is utter chaos, and it's not easy to avoid collisions and the jostling mayhem. Reginald is holding his bag to his chest and is constantly on the lookout for gangs of dirty, ragged street urchins. Cannot help but compare it to the port of Zanzibar, but you decide that it's far more chaotic and uncivilized here in London. Talking about street urchins. It's a bit random, but I was thinking the first episode of a Peep Show about the kids who mess with Mark. Not sure if you've ever seen that show. If any of you guys have seen that show, but it's pretty funny. Pretty funny show. Finally, you've freed yourselves of this crowd and made it to the shipping office. You tell Reginald to wait for you with the luggage while you go and buy the tickets. Good morning, how can I help you? Good morning, I'd like 2 tickets for a passenger ship to the Netherlands, please. Cool, got another achievement. You need not to concern yourself over the price. The amount you were given by the Germans was more than enough. Huh. So I guess if we hadn't took the money, we would have had to go to the bank, huh? Interesting. What's the achievement? Okay, a comfortable journey. Okay, cool. You and Reginald walk carefully up the narrow creaking gangway onto the ship's deck. Actually, since I said a comfortable journey, maybe if we hadn't took the money, we would have been like, I'm not sure what it'd be called, but I guess we're sailing first class here. You and Reginald walk carefully up the narrow creaking gangway onto the ship's deck. Turning back to look at the docks, you have a strange feeling of seeing London as already in the distance, as if those tens of yards were already hundreds of miles. There are a series of shouts of sailors all around the ship, and the ship sets sail for Rotterdam. A very helpful sailor accompanies you below deck to show you your berths. Whoa, I didn't know we were having kids. The Mary Rose 2 is a nice little ship that will allow for an agreeable and comfortable voyage. The sailor leaves you and Reginald in your new cabin. May wind up being able to tell him all of them. Let's ask why he's willing to come with us. If you really need to know, I have 2 very good reasons to be here. Your friend smiles warmly and grabs his stomach. This here wants to try some new food. Haven't had a proper adventure since I was a student at the university, and I don't know how much longer I'll be able to have them. Reginald laughs heartily. You look at him, waiting to hear a second reason. Secondly, Jake, you don't seem to be in any sort of condition to deal with all this alone. I'm afraid you just end up doing something daft. Like accepting a bunch of money from... Seems to me, from the symptoms that you have described, to be a strain of plague with many, perhaps too many, incongruous details. It may well turn out to be a new type of bacterium, or perhaps something else. New theories are always emerging in our area of study. You nod your agreement. That is why it's so important to speak with Bajornik. Yeah, let's tell him about this. About us taking the money. If it's a lot of money, I can't see what your mistake could have been. Can't but help laugh at your friend's reaction. Although you have already recounted what transpired in Zanzibar, you now tell him all about Meyer and the strangeness of the circumstance in which he sought you out, first in Africa and then immediately on your return to England. I don't think you have any sort of legal obligation to him because of the money, and besides, you are fulfilling your side of the bargain by continuing your research. If it turns out to be as new and dangerous as you think, you can always make it public and there won't be much left for Meyer anyway. Depends on if Meyer wants to adhere to the law. He may not want to do that. You're like, there's nothing legally, making us have to do this. But then again, there's nothing legally saying that, he may not operate legally. He might just be like, boop. Okay, well, nice working with you, Doc. Reginald's reasoning is actually fairly sound, but nevertheless, you cannot share his optimism entirely. You doubt that this agreement will come to such an easy resolution. Yeah, let's rest. Man, we're racking up a lot of experience. 76! Wow! We're getting some rest. Let's eat some of this food brought by that uniformed girl just now. Reginald uncovers a big silver platter and releases a cloud of wonderful smelling steam. For once, you decide to join your gormandizing companion in his repast before settling down into your comfortable bunk. Once more, and for the whole trip, sleep refuses to treat you kindly. Can't stop thinking of Zanzibar, of Meyer, and of the disease. Every train of thought breeds new mysteries. You only hope that Bezernik can give you the answers to these questions, which are driving you mad. Opening your eyes, the first thing you see is Reginald. He's reading a book and chewing something. He smiles when he sees that you're awake. He's about to speak to you when there's a loud ringing. The ship is entering Rotterdam port. Sweet. Okay. So now we're in Holland. I was about to say Amsterdam, but that's a different one. That's another down. So yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing this Bajornik pretty soon. I'm sure I'm butchering that name terribly, but anyway, yeah. Curious what's going to happen. We met that student too. That's us having the choice to speak to him about the microbiology and stuff, and then him not pop up again. That'd be strange. But anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I do sincerely hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, and yeah. We'll see you next episode. Later there, folks.